We're going to go to Canada and talk to Dawson. Hey, Dawson, welcome to the EntreLeadership Podcast.
Hey, Dave. Thanks so much for having me on. I started listening to the Ramsey Show when I was 18. 5 years later, me and my now wife have stayed out of debt completely, and that has been an insane blessing for us. So thanks for all that you guys do.
Well, thank you, brother. How can we help today?
So I run a small landscaping company that I started about 2.5 years ago. Last year, we did about $220,000 in revenue. On that 220, we netted about $100,000 total, bottom line. And out of that 100 throughout the year, I paid myself a $60,000 salary. So now we're 2.5 years in. We have about $40,000 in retained earnings. And I'm just curious about your thoughts on how I might balance two desires. One being taking that $40,000 and reinvesting it into the company, or taking that $40,000 and all future other year retained earnings for that matter, or taking that $40,000 and investing it into some of the larger ticket personal financial goals that me and my wife have, such as paying off our mortgage, over the next 5 years or something to that effect.
You need retained earnings a maximum of 6 months of business expenses.
Okay.
And if you get anything more than that, take it home and do something with it. And then before you get to that point, what we have done, and I've never gotten there, by the way. I don't have 6 months of operating expenses and retained earnings now. I mean, that would be hundreds of millions of dollars, right? I don't have that. I've got really nice retained earnings, tens of millions, but I don't have hundreds of millions of retained earnings sitting in the company, not with a $300 million company. So that's I've never gotten there. What we do, though, is we say, before I get paid, before the operating board, which also gets paid off the same line I do, as if they were partners, although they are not technically, we before that line item, we take out a percentage of net profits each month and add the retained earnings. So you pick a percentage that you want to put to grow retained earnings steadily, say 10%, 20%, 15%, something like that, right, of your profits. And so it sounds like you made $100,000 last year. So let's say you're making $8,300 a month. Let's say you did 15%. So that's going to be like $1,500 a month. Okay. So we're going to say 15% of retained earnings. That's $1,500 a month. We're going to grow this, and anything past that that's a profit, I'm taking it home in addition to my salary. So I pay my salary, I take out the percentage for retained earnings, and what's left over, I take it on home. Because you're growing retained earnings at a very good rate, a good clip. It's not shrinking. You're not going to run out of money at the company. You've got the money to grow with at the company. You've got the money to protect a downturn at the company. And then the rest of it you're going home to build wealth with. And that's exactly what I have done for 30 years.
That is very clear and very helpful. And thanks so much for that framework. I sincerely appreciate that.
Sure, man. It's a simplistic system. It's fairly primitive, and it has worked beautifully. And by the way, again, I've never, with the percentage of our bottom line going to retained earnings every month, I have never achieved a full 6 months. If I ever did, I would stop any percentage going to it, and I'd take all of it home. Because it's big enough. You don't need to be awash with cash down there. That's a bunch of cash, by the way. That's a bunch of cash.